For those who don't know, but I'm sure all of you do, we're an organization that provides critical civil legal services for low-income people. Our services are in 18 counties here in central Pennsylvania. This morning, we're grateful to have with us Senator Patty Kim, Representative Nate Davidson, Representative Dave Madsen, Representative Napoleon Nelson, and my state representative, Justin Fleming. A significant
Personal state. You're very powerful. You got your own, huh?
I got my own.
It helps not
A significant part of the work that we do here at MidPenn focuses on assisting low-income Pennsylvanians who face challenges with utility costs, particularly during these harsh winter months. Many of our clients struggle to keep their homes warm and their families safe due to rising energy costs. That's why it's such an honor today to host Governor Shapiro and his team. His efforts to lower electricity bills and create affordable energy solutions directly impact the communities that we serve, offering families and households critical relief and hope. At this time, it's my great honor and my privilege to introduce our governor, Josh Shapiro.
Thank you, Rodia. Thank you. And let me just say how grateful I am for the wonderful work you and your team here at MidPenn do. You look out for those who need a little bit of extra help in our communities, and you make a huge difference. And we're grateful. And so for this exciting announcement, we wanted to be right here in a facility that looks out for folks. It tries to cut their costs, keep them in their homes. And we're really profoundly grateful for everything you do. So thank you, Rodia. And I want to thank all of our representatives and the senator who are here, who are a huge part of our agenda to cut costs all across Pennsylvania, including Rodia's personal state representative, Representative Fleming, along with Davidson and Madsen. And I would note the presence of Napoleon Nelson, who is far from home because his district is right next to our family home in Montgomery County. But Representative Nelson leads the Legislative Black Caucus, and we're grateful for his presence here today. Thank you. And we are, of course, grateful to have Senator Patty Kim with us, someone who she wasn't your personal state rep before, but a neighboring personal state rep, and now she's your personal state senator. Look, the work that you do here, the work that these elected leaders do here, is critically important. And I know a lot of folks oftentimes don't think about the work you do. They don't think about where they get their energy from. They don't think about how that gets billed, but they do get a little bit frustrated when those prices go up. Today we're here to celebrate the fact that prices are not going to go up on Pennsylvanians, especially our seniors. Let me talk about how, and let me talk about why. I know folks also don't really think about what happens when they plug a space heater into their wall during these cold winter months, or plug something in order to power their telephone. They do so knowing that the power will be there, but they oftentimes don't think about where that power comes from. That wire in the outlet of your home, it runs to the pole outside your house, which runs down the street and connects to a transformer and then to an electrical substation. And no, I'm not going to give you a science lesson on how this works, but I do think it is important to understand all the steps in the process. But to get that power to run your outlets, it has to be generated somewhere. And that's where the power plants come in. And the level of power that gets sent into your outlet, into your neighborhood, into your community, well, that level of power has to be controlled in order to avoid short-circuiting your wires, short-circuiting your appliances, making that space heater that keeps you warm in the winter continue to be able to function. So about a century ago, utility companies in Pennsylvania and our neighbor in New Jersey banded together to create what is commonly referred to as the grid. Over the years, that grid grew to serving about 65 million people in 13 different states in our region, and that grid is managed by an entity called PJM. And that's really important to understand where PJM fits into this conversation. So on a cold day like what we were experiencing over the last week, we know we need more power coming into our homes and into our businesses. And obviously on a mild day like today, you probably need a little less power. PJM controls the levers of how that power gets sent to your home and to your business. Here's the other thing that PJM controls: the price that you pay for that power coming into your home. You see, PJM sets the prices for energy, and that ultimately determines what the price is on your bill. Roughly every year or so, PJM has an auction where energy suppliers, that's the power plants I talked about before who generate all this power, commit to providing power to a particular area over a sustained period of time. And then PJM agrees to pay a certain amount of money for that power that is guaranteed to be produced for our fellow Pennsylvanians. But over the last several years, PJM has been really, really slow to let new suppliers come into the market to generate more power for that grid. And at the same time, they have increased prices at their annual auctions. So they haven't helped generate more power, yet they've been jacking up prices on consumers here in Pennsylvania and across those other states that PJM serves. And the net result of that is that your utility bills have gone up. When I got wind that this year's auction would potentially be the highest prices ever for Pennsylvania ratepayers, I immediately objected to what PJM was trying to do. If they had gotten their way, they would have increased costs on consumers across these PJM states by $21 billion. That's with a B, $21 billion. We stopped the $21 billion hike on ratepayers all across these states. Let me tell you what that means for an average ratepayer, an average Pennsylvanian. They would have seen their electricity bills increase by over 30% if PJM got their way. But we stopped PJM in their tracks. To me, it was unacceptable that PJM just wanted to pass along that increase on to ratepayers, and I wasn't going to give them a pass. And so over the last several months, I spent a whole lot of time working behind the scenes with PJM to try and find a different path forward that wouldn't result in increasing costs on our seniors and on consumers across Pennsylvania. We worked hard to spare you of the rate hike that PJM was planning. Now, ultimately, notwithstanding the many hours we spent in my office and in other rooms across Pennsylvania trying to hash out an agreement, PJM would not initially agree to my demands, and so I sued them. The governors of Maryland and Delaware and New Jersey and Illinois, other states that are part of that PJM grid, joined me in those legal efforts to stand up for consumers. And when they joined us, that made our effort even more powerful. I want to thank the governors of those states for stepping up on behalf of consumers as well. I also want to thank the federal regulators, known as FERC, who oversee a lot of this work, who have engaged really closely with me and our efforts to hold PJM's pricing down. One thing I've learned over the years representing you as your Attorney General and now as Governor is that throughout these processes, you always have to keep talking. You gotta stay in the room and you've gotta keep engaging. Even after you file a lawsuit, you've gotta keep the conversation going. Because typically, if you keep talking, you can usually find a way forward. And that's exactly what we did in this case. And as a result of our administration's efforts, we reached an agreement yesterday with PJM that staved off the kind of price increases that PJM planned and saved consumers in all of these states $21 billion and saved you a 30% hike on your utility bills. I want you to know when we filed a lawsuit, it was because of people like Minta to protect her. When we made sure we continued to engage, it was to make sure that the people who walk into Mid-Penn's offices every day and places like this all across Pennsylvania would have a voice at the table. That's what these elected leaders are fighting for in the legislature every day, and that's what I'm fighting for as your governor, to get stuff done for people like Minta, to cut costs, and to make sure that we can use our position here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania as a powerful energy generator to not just make sure we keep the lights on and keep your homes warm, but to also be able to keep your prices from skyrocketing. So I want to thank you for the work that you do here at Mid-Penn. And now it is my pleasure to invite Minta up to share a few words on how this is going to impact her. Minta, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Governor Shapiro. My name is Minta Livengood, and I am a senior from Indiana County, Pennsylvania. I have firsthand experienced the impact of rising costs on seniors. I have used LIHEAP, I still use SNAP, and I am on the waiver program due to medical needs. These programs help me get me dressed in the morning, buy medicine, to see my doctor, and they help me stay independent in the community. I have also been an advocate for others since 1981. Currently, I am a volunteer in Indiana County, helping people with LIHEAP and the property taxes, rent rebate applications, educating my community on how they can cut down their utility bills. I have also been proud member of the Coalition of Affordable Utility Service and Energy Efficient in Pennsylvania since 2011. CAUSE-PA works closely with the Pennsylvania Utility Law Project to help make utilities more affordable. As someone who is impacted by high cost and who also helps others the same situation, I can tell you that the incredible importance that the governor is working to lower costs for Pennsylvanians. If someone's electric bill starts creeping up, that means a lot to someone on a fixed income, especially seniors. They might not be able to afford food, medical bills that month because they worry about keeping the lights on. This is a reality for lots of people in my community. I encourage everyone who needs help to reach out to your local legal services program, community agencies. They can help if you are facing a utility shutoff or if you're having trouble applying for LIHEAP and other assistance. I am grateful that the governor's intervention to help keep electric prices from going up, that would have a negative, I'm repeating that, impact on seniors and families across Pennsylvania. I encourage the governor and the other elected officials to work together with community leaders to reduce high energy and water prices, expand LIHEAP, and protect those most in need. Thank you all. And now I would like to introduce Elizabeth Marks from the Pennsylvania Utility Law Project. Thank you.
Thank you, Minta, for being here on behalf of client leaders at CAUSE-PA who volunteer their time and bravely share their lived experience to help inform complex utility policy decisions that impact Pennsylvanians every day. My name's Elizabeth Marks, and I'm privileged to lead the Pennsylvania Utility Law Project in our mission to ensure that Pennsylvanians can access and afford safe and affordable utility services to their home. PULP's a project of Regional Housing Legal Services, and we're a proud member of the Pennsylvania Legal Aid Network. We work hand in hand with client leaders and community partners to advance access to justice in all corners of the state. Energy and water are essential to healthy homes and thriving communities. But in 2024, more than 377,000 Pennsylvanian families had their electricity, gas, and water shut off because they couldn't afford to pay. This was a 15% increase over 2023, a reflection of rising energy and water prices and rising energy and water insecurity across the Commonwealth. Far too many families are forgoing food, medicine, and medical care and other essentials just to keep the lights on and the heat running. It's an honor to stand beside Governor Shapiro to celebrate a tremendous victory for energy affordability in Pennsylvania. I must say the governor's swift action and leadership to prevent billions of dollars in waste saved Pennsylvania ratepayers hundreds of dollars on their electric bill over the following years. But today we celebrate this milestone, and tomorrow we fight, because the work to address rising energy insecurity is far from over. Governor Shapiro's leadership in ushering in a new measure of accountability at PJM and the settlement announced today are a crucial step towards addressing energy challenges that we face. But rising electricity costs are still on the horizon, and we need to work together to transform energy markets and shepherd in just and equitable energy futures. We also have to work, we have work to do at the state level. I'm looking at the elected officials. We have to work to prevent create collection policies that are going to avoid terminations and avoid the accrual of debt. We need to expand programs like LIHEAP that are helping struggling families and seniors to afford their energy costs. And we need to modernize our energy efficiency programming to fix Pennsylvanians' aging homes and to make them more healthy, safe, efficient, and resilient. Access to safe and affordable energy is not a luxury. It's a right of all Pennsylvanians regardless of personal wealth. And I look forward to working together to ensure this right becomes a reality. The challenges ahead are vast, but we can get stuff done together if we're guided by the people and the communities that we serve. With that, I'd like to thank the governor for allowing me to be here today, and I'd like to introduce Bill Johnston Walsh, AARP State Director, and a critical ally and friend in this important work. Thank you, Governor.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, Governor, thank you so much. Of course. Good morning. My name is Bill Johnston Walsh, and I am the State Director for AARP Pennsylvania. And it's an honor to be here today to talk about the impact that Governor Shapiro's work and hard work on these issues will have for all Pennsylvanians, especially older Pennsylvanians. As the largest nonprofit that advocates for over 3 million Pennsylvanians over the age of 50, including our 1.8 million members here in the Commonwealth, we are very aware of the rising utility costs as a major concern for many in the Commonwealth and across the region and the country, as the governor has said. In fact, in November 2024, AARP did a survey in Pennsylvania. 70% of voters aged 50 and older said they were very worried about their personal and financial situation, with the cost of utilities and food as the top drivers of their financial stress. That was 70%. Far too often, newspaper headlines across the Commonwealth speak about rising electric, gas, and water costs. These stories then include information on the resources available to help consumers lower their energy costs and pay their bills. These resources include LIHEAP, weatherization programs, and property tax and rent rebate relief programs, just to name a few. And again, it's thanks to our local representatives as well as the governor that these programs are continuing to go. And as Liz said, we need them to continue on, and we need money behind them to be able to do that, to expand them as we move forward. While the importance of ensuring that Pennsylvanians have access to a steady supply of power that is safe, reliable, and affordably priced cannot be overstated, the words generation resources are often complicated and challenging to the general consumer to navigate. This is why today we pause to applaud and extend our strong thanks and appreciation to Governor Shapiro and his team for their leadership and willingness to take action to prevent energy cost increases that would have potentially stretched the pocketbooks of Pennsylvanians and their residents far beyond their capacity. At AARP, we consistently hear from our 1.8 million members that they want to stay and age in place in their homes. Again, they want to stay in their homes, homes that they worked hard to purchase and raise their families in. But when it comes to year after year of higher utility costs, along with higher food costs, along with healthcare costs going up, it makes it so much harder to stay in their homes on fixed incomes when these costs are constantly rising. This is why what Governor Shapiro and his team have done today by standing up to the utility companies will help all Pennsylvanians stay in their homes tomorrow and for years to come. AARP will always stand up for the 50-plus Pennsylvanian and will continue to fight for every home energy consumer to know their rights, including how to file complaints and how to voice their concerns. We are pleased to be here today with the governor, with Mid-Penn Legal Services, with Pulp, and with consumers like Mrs. Levingood, to continue to fight to save all Pennsylvanians money on their homes and on their energy bills. It is now my pleasure to hand the microphone back to the governor because I'm not ready to answer any of those questions that are going to be coming. So, thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Before I take a few questions from the media, let me thank Bill and his team at AARP. We've been working together for years. Back when I was AG, we worked together on a number of senior scams to stop senior scams, not promote them. And you all do incredible work, and we're really grateful for the partnership with AARP. So we really appreciate you. I mentioned before in my remarks that we had a strong team going up against PJM, and as Bill alluded to, I think in the past, folks really haven't taken on PJM. They've sort of been this black box that existed. They set rates. People may have complained, but they didn't do anything about it. We did something about it, and I'm really blessed to have a tremendous team working with me on that. And so I want to shout out and thank Sam Robinson, Jacob Boyer, and Jacob Finkel from my team, who did an outstanding job helping lead to this protection of consumers across Pennsylvania. And speaking of consumers, I want to thank our consumer advocate who joins us as well here today. So thank you all very much. And if Bill is unwilling to take questions, I'm sure Minta will be happy to answer questions from the media if there are any. No?
When you talk about the power generation situation, like I know PJM has said at times, like because they need to get a certain amount of power and a certain amount of drain, how do you fix that, or how do you address that as a stakeholder?
Yeah, look, I think the way you don't address it is by recklessly raising prices on consumers. In fact, the way you try and address it is by bringing new generation online, like what we did at TMI, which is going to help power data centers and other things that are going to be really critical. Go talk to our generators like Joe Dominguez at Constellation, who, by the way, did not want to see the price hike. Would not have led to more generation on Constellation's part, and they didn't want to see ratepayers like Minta get hurt. I think what we need is a balanced approach. I'm going to be talking more about my energy plan tomorrow, the broader energy plan, which has to include efforts to generate more power, to keep up with consumer demand, to keep up with the demand of data centers and all the different technologies we want and need in the United States of America. But the way to not increase generation, or I said that backwards, the old model of generating new power just by simply jacking up prices on consumers and hoping that will lead to generation, those days are over. That model doesn't work. The old PJM model is broken. We now need a new model, and I'm going to be talking more about that later in the week. Anything else?
Governor, your agreement with PJM, is it specifically reducing the cap to 325 megawatts per day? Is that a very specific agreement you have with them to
Yep.
seek that from FERC?
PJM had proposed, I think the context is important, I'll get at the heart of your question. PJM had proposed an auction price, and this is a little bit confusing, but these auction prices directly lead to your price on your bill. They had proposed an auction price that would be around $600 at the top. Everything is a range, but that was the top of their range. What we agreed to was that their range could not exceed 325. It could be lower than that, but that's going to be the reason why we're not seeing a 30% increase in consumer prices. So that is what we agreed to, and now that goes to FERC for their approval. FERC is the federal energy commission that oversees this.
And some of the power plant operators have criticized that as saying that that will send the wrong signal to them and other companies.
The
like
majority
them
of
to build.
The majority of power plant operators support what we negotiated. Go talk to Joe Dominguez at Constellation, talk to some of these others who I've been engaged with. They understand. I believe they understand that the model that PJM has operated on over the years, jack up Minta's prices and hope a generator generates more, that's broken. They know we need to generate more, but increasing her prices is not the way to get that done.
Are there other states, other systems that have seen grids implement that you think is the direction?
I'm sorry, I just didn't hear your question. Do you mind repeating that?
Are there other states, other grids doing it in a way that you're like, that's what we need to be working to? If we're talking, like PJM has a system that's not working,
Yeah.
what is working?
You know, I think that there is a real question as to whether or not the PJM model has run its course and whether or not Pennsylvania should even remain in PJM. We generate enough power to be able to power Pennsylvania and to be able to sell roughly a third of the power we generate to other states, to people in other areas of the country. I think we have to really think whether or not being a part of PJM is in the best interests of Pennsylvania consumers. And that's something we are actively exploring in our administration to make that determination. In the short term, we just wanted to make sure we stopped the kind of price increases that they were talking about for folks like Minta, and we were successful in that effort.
The update on Medicaid and some of the other services that were affected yesterday.
Yeah. I think as y'all know, and we talked about this yesterday, the Trump administration issued guidance through the Office of Management and Budget to, in effect, freeze all federal spending. Throughout the day, they tried to walk that back, and ultimately a judge ruled that they had to temporarily hold off on any of those cuts or the freezing of federal funds until next week. But during this chaotic day, they also stopped the systems or froze the computer systems that we rely on in the state to operate initiatives for Pennsylvanians that rely on federal funding, things like Head Start and Medicaid. We literally need a computer system in order to generate payments and send dollars out to run those programs. This was chaotic, it was reckless, and it wreaked havoc on communities. Late last night, those computer systems were restored, and they are now operating and functioning properly. Don't let anybody tell you this was some technical glitch. They were very purposeful in trying to wreak havoc on our communities and stop these federal dollars from flowing to our states. I will tell you, I spoke to several governors yesterday, Republican and Democrat alike, and everyone was equally concerned because our states and the initiatives we run in our states to help folks rely at times on federal funds, billions of dollars in federal funds. So the Trump administration now has to go and explain their motives and what they actually are going to do to a federal judge. But as of late last night, those computer systems are operating again.
Do you think that the freeze that happened Monday, yesterday, anything else that Trump has planned, will that have an impact as you guys are presenting a state budget of being prepared for what could come down the line?
I think everything the president does has an impact on the states. It's why I hope he takes executive actions in a way that looks out for folks, tries to lift everyone up as opposed to trying to knock some folks down, as has been the case with many of his executive orders. He obviously won the election. He has every right to put his views forward. He has every right to try and change the scope of federal programs. I would just encourage him as he does that to remember that when you make a change like that, it has an impact on people in our states. It has an impact on the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. When you stop funds to Pennsylvania, that hurts our veterans. It hurts our farmers. It hurts our kids in childcare. It makes it harder for us to continue to lead the nation in repairing bridges, as we did last year. I'm very proud of that. It is really important that we have a constructive relationship with our federal partners. And what happened yesterday was not constructive. What happened yesterday was really reckless and really dangerous. Okay? Thank you all very, very much. Have a great day.
Minta, thank you.